What's going on, you guys, and welcome back to another Lumafusion video. For those of you that are new to this channel, I'm RobHK and I do a lot of Lumafusion related tutorials and videos, and also test out gear related to filmmaking. So if you're new to this channel, make sure to consider that subscribe button because that would be highly appreciated. So I assume a lot of you guys have seen the lower thirds pack which I released a couple of days ago, and a lot of you might question if you should get this pack or not. So I thought I should put you in the right direction so you can decide after you see how easy this is to customize and to use for your videos. So what we're going to do in this video is to go through the download process from Selfie and then until we have this finished on our timeline in our project, and what's inside the pack, and how easy it is to find a different type of a look that you want to. Simply just everything related to this lower thirds pack is what we're gonna do in this video. So without further ado, let's just jump over to the iPad so we can customize the lower thirds to make them a little bit more personal. So once you head over to my Selfie page, you can see that I have a lot of different presets here. We have the lower thirds, and we also have some text and video transitions, which is brand new of 2020. We also have a brand new extreme bundle here, and we also have the mega pack here, which is 1250 plus presets for Lumafusion, but this pack does not include the extreme bundle, the lower thirds, and actually it does include the 70 Lumafusion text and video transitions. And we also have the different type of LUTs here. So for this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you use the brand new pack, which is the lower thirds for Lumafusion. So the first thing you're going to do is to go over to the lower thirds, and here you can see two different types of selections. You have the private use and the business use. You have the same amount of presets within each pack here. The only difference between the private use and the business use is that you can use this for private use for your videos which you are earning ad revenue off of YouTube, for example, or just to show your family or friends or anything like that. But if you're going to use this for client work, let's say you're going to shoot a wedding film and you want to use the lower thirds within Lumafusion for that client video, meaning that the client will pay you to do some filming or photography for their wedding or any other project that they are hiring you for, that means you will have to use the business version, which is a little bit more since you are earning money off of your videos outside of YouTube. But for this one, we're going to choose the private use here, and we're simply going to add this to our cart. And as you can see, we also have 15% off on this pack now, since it is a brand new launch on Selfie. So we're just going to go on and buy this now, and we're going to come back to the downloads after we receive the mail from Selfie. So after you made the purchase on Selfie, you will receive a new email from Selfie itself, and keep in mind that you have to check your junk folder in case this email is sent to that folder. So here is the email, and that email will include a download product button. So we're going to go on and we're going to tap on download product, which is the green one here, and that will open up Safari to a new browser where you will see your downloads. And here you can see an additional how to use guide for the lower thirds, but we're going to go on and we're going to download the 50 lower thirds zip file. So the way we're going to do this is to tap on download, and the download will open up here, and we're going to tap on download one more time, and it will start to download on the top right corner here. So you're going to tap on the circle with the arrow down, and then you can tap on the 50 lower thirds pack. So once we tap on this folder here, that will extract all the project files which is within the zip file to a new folder. And here you can see that folder 50 lower thirds 2, and it includes 100 items. So inside this pack you will find 50 lower thirds, and you will also find 50 different images here of every single lower thirds which is in the folder. So here you can see that we have LT 50, that is the lower third 50, and here you can see that we have the lower thirds 50. So this one is the exact same as this one inside the image here. So now let's move over and apply one to our Lumafusion timeline. And I really like this lower thirds right here, so that is the one we're going to customize in this tutorial. So this is lower thirds number 3. So we're going to go on and we're going to find that, and that is listed on top here as lower thirds 3. And the only thing you have to do is to tap on this one time and it will open up automatically inside of Lumafusion. As you can see here, we have the new project lower thirds 3, and we can go into edit on this project here, and you can see that we have the animation coming in, and we also have your text and your website.com here. So let's go on and change this text here to RobHK vlogs, and then change this bottom text here to my YouTube channel. So the way we do this is to go into edit on the section we want to customize, and this is your text, the white one here. And we're going to tap on the text here and then tap on the square with the pencil. And let's just type RobHK. Let's see here, RobHK, and then vlogs. So now we have RobHK vlogs, and we changed that out with the your text. And if we go back to the frame and fit here and do just scrub through here, you see that the text is still a little bit visible here at the beginning, and it's kind of misplaced at the end here. So the way that we want to change this is to go over to titles and then simply take the scale down, just like that. Now we can go back to frame and fit again, and you can see that the text, it has a better placement. And at the beginning here, we don't see any of the text at the beginning, and at the end, it's placed exactly where we want to have it. So that is the only simple change that you have to do to most of these lower thirds. And if you want to customize them more, you can always go into titles, because inside of titles is where you want to do the changes. You don't want to do any changes in the frame and fit section, because you might risk ruining the keyframing here and kind of destroy the animation. So all of the changes you want to do needs to happen within the title section here. We can now go up to the top here. We can also change the color. Let's do a pink reddish one like that. And I think we're done with the first text here. We have RobHK coming in, and let's change the next one here. So this is the orange yourwebsite.com. I'm gonna go into edit on this as well and change it to www.youtube. Let's see here, we can do it like this, youtube.com, and then slash RobHK, just like that. So once again, we can go over to frame and fit, and if we now go back to the beginning here, you can now see that the decay is still visible here, and that means we have to zoom this in a little bit more as well. And at the end, you can also see that the text is kind of misplaced compared to the RobHK vlogs here. So again, over to titles, go down to scale, and scale this down to your preferred size. And as we can see here, the scaling in is a little bit too much here, so we're gonna go back and we're gonna increase the size of it just a little bit, tiny bit more here, and now it has the perfect match of the text above here. So let's go to the beginning and see how that looks. And we don't have any visible text here, so we now have the perfect placement of this text on the bottom as well. The next thing we can do is to go to the title section, and we can change the color if we want to do that. Let's change this to white, and maybe we can change font as well. So we're gonna go over to font selection, Avenir next, and maybe heavy. And as we change the font, you might go back to frame and fit here, and you might want to scale this down to the placement once more. So we're gonna go down to the bottom section here again, and then over to scale this down, and keep in mind that I'm doing everything inside the title section here. And we can go to the beginning again, still a little bit too large. And let's increase it just a little bit more. So now you can see that we have the two text fields here perfectly lined up at the beginning, and we also changed the font of the bottom one. So if we now go to the beginning, you will not see any type of text here visible, and at the end here is perfectly matched. So if we go out to the timeline now, we can do a playback of this lower thirds. Perfect. And you can also change the text here, the RH, which is in the center here. You can also go into edit on that one, and you can select and you can change this to whatever text that you want to change it to. I don't recommend using more than 2 letters because that's the way that this is made. So if it has 1 or 2 letters within a box, I don't recommend that you change it to more than those 2 letters which is in that box. So now that we made our animation more personal here, the way we're gonna do this now is to tap on the export button, and we're gonna go over to photos, and we're gonna export this at maximum quality. You can choose if you want this to be 30 FPS, 24 FPS, 60 FPS, depending on the timeline of your project where you're gonna place this lower thirds. So let's go on and export this. And once the export is done, we're gonna move over to a different project and import this lower thirds. So now that the exporting is done, we're gonna move over to projects here, and we're gonna move over to this project which I have right here. And this is a target zoom transition, which is coming soon. So stay tuned for that as well. It has a lot of shake, as you can see. Very, very detailed animation and detailed transition here. Put on the LUTs here. You can see very, very clean. So let's go on and take this newly rendered lower thirds here and place it on the timeline. And let's scrub through here. And I don't want this to be very long, so I'm gonna go to the point here where it stops there, and I'm gonna go a little bit more, and then I'm gonna make a cut. So now we shorten this down by quite a lot here. And you can also see that we still have the background, which is black. And the way you want to change this to make it transparent, there is 2 different ways of doing this. So the first one is to go into edit inside of this, and then go over to frame and fit and over to blending modes, and then select the blending modes screen or lighten. You can choose whether you want to use. And as we go through here, you can see that the blackness and the background is gone. But since the pink text here is a little bit dark as well, that means that that text will be transparent. So if this is something that you like, you can just use the simple blend mode screen. But if you want the text to be very sharp and you don't want it to be that transparent, the other thing you can do to remove the blackness here is to go over to edit one more time, and now over to color and effects down here, and then you can select the keyhole here and choose ocean key, and then simply take the hue range up to 180, and that should leave you with the perfect removal of the black background. So here we have the animation one more time. And you see that at the end here, it has a sudden stop. So the way we want to do this is to duplicate this one more time. So it is at the end of the first one, and then into edit on the duplicated part. And then we want to go over to speed and reverse this clip here. So now that we reverse the clip, we can go back to our timeline and we can do a playback of this lower thirds, which we applied to the timeline. And you can now see that we have the first part here coming in, and the next part will be going back the same way as this is coming in. So now after you watch this tutorial on how it works, I really hope that I put you in the right direction of if you should get this lower thirds pack or not. It's really something different. It's very smooth. So I suggest that you test this pack out and support my channel in that way as well. It would be really appreciated as well. And for those of you that are wondering about the Extreme bundle as well, 6 of these lower thirds have been added to that Extreme bundle pack as well. So if you have that, you can test out the 6 lower thirds first, and if you see that this is something that I want more of, you can go back and you can consider the 50 pack if this is something that you want to use for your video. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this fast tutorial on how you can use my brand new lower thirds pack for Lumafusion, and as always, I see you guys in the next video.